Hey, and welcome to my workshop about backyard beverages, beautiful drinks that you can make from your garden here in the top end. Welcome to my home and garden. My name's Emma Lupin and I'm a tropical food and plant enthusiast. I came to Darwin about 12 years ago, arriving on a boat, and before that I lived in the tropics for 20 years learning about the produce that's edible and useful, and I want to inspire others to do the same. I think it's more prevalent than ever before that we are suburban survivalists or rural survivalists and use what we can find around us, which is what we're doing today. So this is a drink. It's a Thai basil and lemongrass iced tea with belimbis. If you don't have belimbis, you could use lime. So all you need is Thai basil, which grows super easily, or mint, lemongrass, and belimbis, which are a sour version of a star fruit, and if you want, a little bit of sugar. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I am pretty sweaty and thirsty, so let's get the things and show you how to make it. So this is Thai basil. There are heaps of different kinds of basil, and a lot of them grow really well here in the top end. I've got your classic basil, but you can get Greek basil, Tulsi basil, all kinds. They're all related to each other in the same genus. Now this one does exceptionally well in our climate, especially the wet season. So we're coming to the end of the wet season, it's the beginning of the dry, and you can see over the wet season here so much has grown, and then my dry season herbs are just little, they're just starting. But this is a really good digestive. It's also an antioxidant. It's high in vitamin A, D, calcium and iron, so something really good to add into many dishes. It has a beautiful smell like aniseed, so it's really nice in Thai fragrance clear soups. You can also add it into salads. It's very fresh and tangy, and also put it in drinks like we are today to make our iced tea. Now if you like cocktails, also really good in cocktails. Instead of mint, you can add it in with limes and lemons and a little bit of gin, or not if you don't drink. Really good for you, and just, you know, I'm just picking things today that grow easily. I'm a lazy gardener, but there's so many superfoods that you have no effort to put into at all. If you don't have a garden, just stick it in a pot. It pops up in my gravel, practically a weed, a magic superfood weed. So this here, you can see I've got heaps of this that's grown all wet season. And I was talking about the Thai basil, which we're using today. This is your classic basil, and it grows so easily that it's worth putting down. It's all my go-to herb. You can make fantastic basil pesto out of it, but I also put in all kinds of other leaves that are so easy to grow, like moringa and sweet leaf and Ceylon spinach, and you can really mix it up because they all have different properties. So there's so many great leafy greens just here. We have easy to grow tropical superfoods, and you don't need a big space. I've only got 800 square meters here, but you could just have a pot on a balcony and still grow some things that are really, really good for your health. So the thing about where we live is often the soil isn't great. In fact, that's a bit of an understatement. It's really not very great at all in most places because we have the extreme wet and the extreme dry. So you can contain the soil and build it up. And then the plants have plenty of space for roots. It's really good, especially now coming in the dry season, to keep it moist. So either water it with a hose and a shower head, or install irrigation, because you need that moisture to keep most things growing, and the soil to keep its structure. It needs nutrients, so you can add manures in for nutrients, or pelleted chicken poo. There's so many varieties of things, but you need to add that in too. So it's about having good moisture, having enough air, good structure and nutrients. And you'll just learn as you go along. But coming into the dry now, I've started in a kind of messy fashion to put a bit of straw on top. You can use anything. It's called mulch, and it just keeps the moisture in there, stops it evaporating. You could use old leaves, you know, we don't have to go and buy that many things, just use what you can find. So basils, you can grow them from cuttings. They love water so much. Actually, if you put that in a jar, it would grow roots. But super duper easy to grow it from seed. And you can get seeds from Dundee Organics. You can save your own seeds by when the seed pods of things dry out. So ask if anyone around your neighborhood's got them, or you can get them from nurseries grown elsewhere like Eden Seeds, which is down on the East Coast, but they do have some tropical version. So if you have got enough room in your garden, which probably isn't on a balcony this time, I would recommend planting a citrus, because how many limes and lemons do you use? I don't know about you, but I pretty much eat 5 or 6 a week, either in my cooking, or my drinks. Now, I am not an expert actually at growing limes and lemon trees, because you do have to prune them back. They need plenty of sun. You can't really grow them from seed, so it's best to go to a local nursery that specializes in fruit trees. But once you've got them, great investment. So this is my little lemon tree. Very good idea as well to keep the nutrients up. So put different manures or nutrients at the bottom of the tree. So this tree here is commonly called a starfruit. It's a beautiful tree with a lovely canopy. It's Avaroa carambola. You can see its starfruit shaped fruits on, and it goes yellow and is usually eaten when it's yellow and sweet. We're going out to see its cousin, which is in the back garden, which is a smaller, skinnier, sour version that we're going to put in our drinks. So this tree here is a balimbi, and that's where we've got these little green sour fruit. It's a cousin of the carambola or the starfruit. It's Avaroa balimbi, and it comes from Southeast Asia. It's really popular actually in India and Sri Lanka, and it's made into little sour pickles and things that you eat on the side of a dish. But it's kind of like a lemony taste. They're really high in vitamin C as well, so really great to add to drinks. It's really great for your immune system. They're actually good for coughs and sore throats as well. And you might be wondering why my garden looks like a bit of a jungle, but actually when you're growing plants and it's not a natural habitat, it's good to mimic a natural habitat. And so have layers, so you've got your under layers, mid-story layer and upper layer, and it actually almost then acts as its own little micro environment and self-regulates, and it saves moisture if you have those layers in the wet season, because there's less evaporation as well, and makes use of space because you've got things up like this, mid and low. So I'm just going to show you something really simple, because I just wanted to use what's growing in my garden, and I'm a pretty lazy gardener, so we're finishing the wet season now, so it's things that are finishing up, and one of them is lemongrass. It's good to cut your lemongrass back at the end of the wet season, because it kind of goes a bit dormant, and then you can use lots of it to make drinks. So I'm going to make a lemongrass syrup with balimbi, which is this little tiny fruit, and Thai basil. To clean up the lemongrass, you can actually pull it up by the roots and see it's a little bit old there. And we're just going to use all the really good healthy green bits from the top to go in the tea. So we're going to cut them up into pieces, put them in this colander, and then wash them. So I'm just going to use secateurs or little snips, because we're going to wash them, and just anything brown pull out. So you've got the leaf there, and then you actually also, if you go down the end here, got this thicker part, which is usually used more in cooking, like curries and so on, and that's actually higher in volatile oils and has a little bit more flavour. So you can use whatever. Don't be too fussy, that's what I reckon. So it can all go in to make the tea. And yeah, my kitchens are a little bit like outside inside, because they're garden kitchens. A bit messy, a bit rustic. So I'm just going to cut this up here. You can use whatever you want, knife, secateurs, into little pieces. Then we're going to wash it. But just the best bits, because they're alive and the most healthy with the vitamins, are the green bits. So just include all of the green bits, pull off the rest. I always make a mess, but I clean up later. It's a little bit like the garden bench in the kitchen. Yeah, and all the green bits, oops, and we're just going to pop them in here, like this, into little pieces, and then the flavour comes out easily, just like any kind of tea. So it's really a tea. And now we're coming into the drier bit. You could actually cut that smaller, dry it in the sun, bring it in at night when there's dew, and then put it in a jar when there's no humidity and save it for later. Or you could simply cut bits off, tie them together and hang them in the kitchen for later. Yeah, so in these interesting times, we're all about using what we can find and storing for later. But when you've cut up, you're left with this bit, which has got the root. And even if you buy these from a shop or a market and the root's cut off, you can actually put it in water and it will grow a root. So this you can plant back in the ground, and that's all fresh and ready to go. So you can put that in now for the dry season. Lemongrass mainly grows in the wet, loves water, but you can keep it in the ground to keep it going. And then we've got these bits, so I'm just going to wash them, and then here's some I prepared earlier. They're in the saucepan here, just in the water. And what I'm going to add into that is a little bit of sugar. Now, this is raw organic sugar, but you can use whatever you like as a sweetener. You don't even have to make it sweet if you don't want, but you could put honey, rice syrup, anything you want, or not at all. It's flexible cooking, my favorite kind. So here you've got the sugar. Now, it just depends how sweet you want it. It's basically going to be like a bit of an iced tea, so a little bit in there, or none at all. I mean, I actually quite like teas and drinks with no sweetener. I don't really have a sweet tooth, but I'm just showing you that, and it makes a bit of a syrup. So in there it's probably quite a lot, if you can see it here, of the stem, and a little bit as well of this low down root part that's got a bit more flavour and oil. Yeah, just put it as much as you can because it adds the flavour in there. And then what we're going to do is just light it up and boil it for about half an hour on this outside inside kitchen. And now I'm just going to clean these up and make more little stems ready to go. The balimbi part you can put in now or later. So if you cut this into pieces, you can also put that in now or later. And then the Thai basil goes in the end, and it kind of infuses when it's cold. But pretty much you can make really nice drinks and iced teas out of so many things in the garden, but I'm just showing you these 3 ingredients today. Lemongrass is a really great plant to include in any of your dishes or drinks. It's an antioxidant and a really good digestive, as well as having calcium in it and vitamin A. If you want to grow more of it, so we've cleaned it up and taken off the leaves. If you don't want to make tea, that's also fine, but you basically, just cut it right down. So with any cuttings, you cut off a lot of the leaf so the energy can go into the root first and then the leaf, because the leaf will die off. So cut it off, and then you can just pop that in a pot. And as I said before, you can actually do that without a root. You buy it in the shop without a root, you can put it in water and it will grow a root, and then you can pop it in a pot, and it's that easy. Now we've got our lemongrass tea ready. So we've boiled lemongrass with sugar. You don't necessarily need the sugar. That's a little bit like a lemongrass syrup or a lemongrass sweet tea. We did put a little bit of balimbi in there. So I'm just straining that out into a bowl, So then you've got your syrup or tea, lemongrass tea without bits in it. You can put it in a jug so it's easier, or just a bowl that's cooled, and then pour it over some ice. Like this. And now we're going to add in the Thai basil that's come from the garden. We've washed this and it's dried. And just put it in whole. You don't really need the stems, but all the bits, just make sure it's washed and your hands are washed. Pop them in. And loads of herbs are great in drinks. So this is going to infuse into it, just a little bit like putting mint in or something like that. If you wanted a little bit more of the flavour, you could have added a couple of leaves while you were making the lemongrass syrup, but not really any need. You can add normal mint in if you want, or whatever herbs you like. Now we're going to put the belimbis in. So they're a bit like adding limes in, really. If you don't have belimbis, lots of people have trees in their garden, or when the markets are on you can get them, but you could use limes. Now these are a little soft. It's better to pick them actually when they're a bit firm off the tree rather than finding them underneath. And just popping those in there too. I'm going to put a little bit more ice in, just for good measure. You can actually use crushed ice, oops, if you want more of a slushy effect. We'll get our little spoon. And then that's pretty much it. A couple of glasses. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Nice to put bits in the drink. You can leave it to infuse for a little bit. Delicious.